What up? Streaming was cutting off, so I'm just back studying. Hopefully, some people come through so we can do these lessons. So, I got this book open. It is J.E. Hope, Middle Egyptian. Maybe I should share this video out real quick and do my YouTube stuff. That's why I normally be. Never mind, I can do that later. I just want to close this door. So I'm about to put some of the simple stuff online just so I know it could be on my page for people who trying to learn the glyphs. And I'm definitely not going to read. I'm not about to do no readership. What I'm gonna do is breeze through probably his first 10 lessons in this book and put them. I'm not about to teach them. I'm about to just talk about them real quick, give you some facts on them. What I encourage people to do is to grab this manuscript and read it. Um, J.E. Hope, Middle Egyptian Grammar. And this is a cool baseline area to start in understanding ancient Egyptian, right? So I'm gonna dive right into it because I always, if we look at these lessons, and we could go lesson one, lesson two, I'll probably get about to lesson 10 in this one video because a lot of this stuff you can spend your own time going through taking the lessons, but I will just talk about some of the things we know about them in their descriptions. And then maybe later have a workshop playing around reading and stuff like that. Maybe. So I always it's very good to always look at the symbols and abbreviations, obviously, before we get into a manuscript. And one thing that we often miss in text like this is this one little star right here is a reconstruction or a hypothetical form. But if you see the two dots, it is an impossible form or construction. And we can see all of these other things. Text reading or meaning is uncertain inside of those brackets. The words apply for clarity in translation right there. Superfluous signs that really didn't need to be there. Inscribable omissions. This is his system for this work. Obviously, you can see all of these too and understand just what every abbreviation is. But I'm not about to waste time with that. Let me see. Let's go on and get into it. I'm just going to try to find lesson one. So I don't even got much to say about lesson one because here he's talking about Egyptians' connection to African and West Asian languages. You can find that information at any source, but basically it'll boil down to triconsonantal roots. It won't boil down to this, but one thing that we'll see is triconsonantal roots in a lot of Afro-Asiatic languages, and also some type of suffix conjugation and different grammar points that are the same in Semitic languages. Next, he talks about the history of the phases of Egyptian, and we can spend time talking about that, or you can just read the chapter. But we got Old Egyptian that he had starting at 3000 BC. Middle Egyptian he has at 2135 to 2000. Late Egyptian 1500 or 1550 to 715, and Demotic 715 BC to 470 CE. Coptic, what did it say, 3rd, 16th century, and again he has that order there. We can expound on that, but I just want to get to some of the meat and the bones. So we should spend a little bit of time on this because this confuses some people. In lesson 1.3, he talks about the script of Egyptian. And it says, over the course of 4.5 millennia, Egyptian was written with 4 distinctive scripts. So let's slow down right there. I like the way he phrased it, even though he said Egyptian was written. He's talking about a language. And the way the language is written is in scripts. We all know this, right? So some of us be thinking hieroglyphic, hieratic, demotic, and Coptic is 4 different languages. That would be inappropriate. What we see is 4 different scripts, and only when it gets to later towards demotic and Coptic, we find so many other loan words into this that it'll appear like it's a new language. But we even learned that 50% of the Coptic inventory is ancient Egyptian. So the difference between a script and a language, if we identify that, we won't be getting into trouble later. And he's just showing a comparison of some of these scripts, right? If you can see, some of them are fairly similar. So let's just read this. The writing system of Egyptian. From the earliest phase down to its demise, Egyptian is characterized by 2 principal features: the use of logograms and the rebus principle. Remember that. Take notes on that if you want to. The use of logograms and the rebus principle. Logograms are signs that represent words, both concrete and abstract. For instance, the sign Ra, or which represents the sun, it could be could read variously depending on the meaning. Ra for sun, the god Ra, or every day, which is Heru, daytime, which is Su, day X of the month. All right. So if you're using the sun and dates, it's going to read different. This is easy enough for simple concrete words such as per for house. But how, for example, might one write the preposition to, the noun life, or the verb to become? The rebus principle was the solution. One used words that sounded alike. It says, i.e., that have the same root consonant, to stand for these words that could not be easily depicted. Thus, the sign depicting a mouth, pronounced was used for the preposition to, The sandal strap, ankh, was used to write life, ankh. And the scarab beetle, keper, was used to write to become, keper. These signs, so y'all seeing, they're telling you now, and this is a lot of the confusion people have. People think you need to know what the sign, the meaning of the sign. In the rebus principle, you need to know the sound of the sign. So they took these sounds and they re-represented it. It says these signs, since they are used for their similar pronunciation and not for their basic meaning, may be termed phonetic signs. A core group of phonetic signs must be learned by memory, since according to the rules of Egyptian orthography, certain combinations of consonants are written only with particular phonetic signs. So that's all I wanted to read. You can read the rest when you read the book. And I'm going to take you to what he's talking about after we'll come back to the transliteration of the sounds and signs. Those glyphs that he's saying you need to learn those first are these right here. Ain't too bad the whole chart ain't on one page. Let me see. I'll make it on 2 pages. So we could go over them, right? This is what to commit to your memory. And this is the problem. Someone would think a fool, like if you've been through this process, then you can understand where other people are in the process. Let me show you what I mean. We're going to look at the table of Egyptian alphabetic signs, right? For the sound, we see a vulture. It says that in the name over here. The depiction too. The transliteration we're going to use looks like a backwards 3. Now notice here, even Hope questions whether the value of this, the phonetic value of this that we all say is an A, what does he question whether it is? A R, a L, or a question mark? If you understand this, you understand that we most often use it as the question mark for various reasons. Because some of the names where we find it, we already know how those names survived, and they didn't survive with the R or L. For instance, the name Amun. Some would say Amun. Well, you probably won't see it with this one, so I'll go down to the next one. You'll see that name started with this reed leaf here. Now, they say that could be this sound with a Y or an I. But when we say Amen, we're not saying Yaman, or we're not saying Eman. We're referring to this other sound that could probably just be like a ah, or what have you, and we say Amen. And so, really, what you would want to learn is that these two is going to be the ones that confuse you the most. But this would probably be most like an A, and this would probably be most like an I. You hardly ever will see ancient Egyptian work where they entertain, even in Hoke's work here, he's not going to entertain this A as an R or an L. But we need to know that the true phonetic value is possibly an R or an L. And this third one that we always use, the question mark. So you ask, how do you use a question mark? Well, it kind of lines up to what they have as an A sound. And you learn, we can see that if we ever get into I was gonna say manual decodage, but that ain't what I'm trying to say. It's escaping me right now. So if you remember these the glyphs he said remember first. Even though we know they's reed leaves, you hardly will ever read a text where these being reed leaves is actually significant to the meaning of what you're reading. These are the glyphs you need to know how they sound. Or particularly since we not even, these are the consonants, right? The transliteration is why we don't necessarily read the transliteration, but sometimes the transliteration and the phonetic values match up. So in this instance, you can read the Y as a yit sound. But notice this one, Y and I, right? Those are kind of like in the same category, the sound that they make. The U, so let's talk about these two strokes, which is another Y. It's just a shorthand for this one. This A, see, they got it for ayin in Hebrew. So we see that that's giving us back to A. But that's like, no, not Alif or whatever, but so I don't want to mess that up, but this is traditionally a different version of an A, even though this value here is not an A. You'll learn as it go on how this transliterates back. And so this is one of the A's in the word ma'at. All right. But they're not written. You're not going to put an A. You'll put this little symbol right here. The uchik, we call this the uchik. It's really a quelchik, but it represents a W sound. So you're going to say ooh. Now notice here, the W in the transliteration column lines up with the W in the phonetic column. So you really will pronounce ooh, wah, wah, or ooh, because there's a U here. Now notice a W, what's the difference between a U and a W? A U is just a W is just a U double. It's a double U. So we can clearly see how these two could be the same. Here's another rendition of a U, right? A W or a U. But notice in transliteration, they should always be W. Now, here's a B, and in the pronunciation, it's a B too. Here's a P, this square looking thing. This B is a foot or a leg. This P is a stool. It just looks like a little square, kind of like a square. It's also pronounced P. Let's see which ones aren't pronounced. We've seen some earlier. But what I argued with some, is it true that you should not be trying to pronounce transliteration? But as we see with the ancient Egyptian language, most of the transliterated symbols to the left match up with the pronunciation. So this would be, I keep wanting to say Unicode, but it is the international IPA, international language. Phonetic language. Whatever. So now look, this is one and this was one. Notice here we got a N, but and Pef is one too. He's saying that this F could have been pronounced PF at certain times. And that this R, we know, might be pronounced as an R or an L. But he also have an N possibly pronounced as an L in some instances. And then we see these three different H's, and know they would be expressed by what it say. H like hard, or like Kemet, even though that sounds like a K, that still was one of these H's. Not Kemet. That the one I said means an ignorant female. Kemet. Right? Because I didn't say Kemet, I put the KH on it. And that would be this one that they call the placenta. So now we know when we see the half moon looking symbol under, and it's an H, it's actually the sound, right? And this one is too. With the straight line, it's more of a X sound or whatever, so to speak, but whatever. Right here it has a question mark in number 12. And so you can learn these. I won't continue, but I will finish these. You see the door bolt is giving us an S. We also got another S. Sometimes they fit in better profiles. If you're going down in a column, this S would take up less space. If you're going to the right, it seems this S may take up less space. You feel me? And so it depends on, and there's other graphic, glyphs get graphically transposed for other reasons. But notice this, which is like a little pool of water, is giving us a SH. So we see an S here in transliteration, but we're supposed to pronounce SH. Shh. Right? It said, exactly. And now right here, we see a hill, the side of a hill. It doesn't matter if we know it's the side of a hill. It would matter that we know its pronunciation was like a Q, basically. This is a traditional K. It is a basket with a handle. right? Now, don't think you can just grab these things and put them in a row and you got a word. That'll be like a bad tattoo. So I'm gonna teach one of my daughters is a tattoo artist now, and I'm gonna teach her some metal Netchers so that she can do her tattoos right and never mess them up. Or if she need one done, I'll just be the person to make sure it's proper. But if we come to here, so what you're gonna see if I make this bigger, you can take note of this. The shape of this G. One thing you notice, it has like a little triangle thing in the center of it. Most all the time you see it, it'll be shaped like this and have this triangle thing in there. But there's an H, a different rendition of an H that it can sometimes get confused with. And that might be a biliteral, so I'm going to wait till we get to there. So right now we're talking about uniliterals, are the glyphs that have one sound. We're going to get to glyphs that have two sounds. Even this one, which has three consonants, this is still one sound. That's what that sound represents. Right? So it's like the TCH in Medu Netcher. This right here. The loaf of bread is just a T. The hand, if you see a hand, think like a traditional D, and it's pronounced like a D. But if you see this snake, cobra snake, right? Think DJ, and it's called Janja. That's what I was telling people. All right, so you see, right? These are the names of the glyphs over here, but this is called Janja. Now, why is it called Janja? Because it survived into the Coptic, and in the Coptic, to bring up the equivalent to this symbol that makes the DJ sound, it is a Janja. So then we see the TCH is a Chima. And all of these words over here, when it's a complete word, it comes from the Coptic. Right? Not that flat, tall, and bow. But the ones I was just, this one don't come from the Coptic. Seems like it's coming from Hebrew. But yeah. All right, so let's continue. So spend your time memorizing these. And don't fool yourself that you read in the glyphs once you get these memorized. You will have learned the very first step is memorizing these. And it don't take long, right? Spend your maybe 30 minutes a day. If you write them by hand, you're really going to get it. Because you can just write your ABCs and then write this next to it. Right? And in about a week, you're going to be remembering them. Then you'll be ready for this next step. Let's see what the next step is. I can make this smaller. Now, you can read his book, and he's going to go in on everything. He speaks on it. The original phonetic value of this sign is unknown, but by the New Kingdom, it was no longer pronounced. In the Old and Middle Kingdom times, it was used to transliterate the Semitic L and R, he's trying to say. Coptic has L, and so presumably did some old Egyptian dialects. Scholars used to think that this was the glottal stop sound, the sound produced by the Adam's apple. That's produced in Adam's apple that breaks the vowels in some English speakers' pronunciation of the ocean. The sound that I make that breaks the vowels in between the E and the O in between the ocean is what they say this sounded like. And in all English speakers' pronunciation of O, whatever the vocal sign in Middle Egyptian, the glottal stop, it is not. All right? So he's rephrasing what some previous scholars, and we haven't gone far into this work, we still transliterate that as an A. Now, if you check this out, And I'm not going to go through all of these, but his work is thorough and he tells you each one. Sir Alan Gardner will give you the best breakdown. But notice he's talking about how they sound here. The I has two consonantal values. The glottal stop, the sound that breaks the vowels in the English pronunciation of uh-oh. It also has the value of Y. It also sometimes used in the vocal pronunciation of I, but this is almost exclusively in foreign names. I encourage you to read all of these, right? And I'm going to continue with the lessons because this is supposed to just be not a deep dive, but a small, inspirational. Get you inspired to read more. But I definitely need to read this because I know some people, even well-versed in Medu Netcher, who seem to have not come across a reading like this. And so let's read it. The letters T and TCH tended to become variant sounds of each other. These are called allophones. So let's talk about it. When some of us say Medu Netter and others of us say Medu Netcher, this qualifies that we're both right. Because the T and the TCH are allophones, meaning that they tended to become variant sounds of each other. Depending on such things as the following vowels, but in earlier Middle Egyptian, they are distinct sounds. All right? So Gardner teaches us that too. He teaches that in Old Kingdom, they said Medu Netcher. But by the Middle Kingdom, they was just saying Medu Netter. Stuff start falling off. But this is not the phenomenon of things falling off. This is the phenomenon of words that sound sounds that are similar being substituted for each other, or variants of each other. Right? Now it says the same phenomenon occurs with the D and the Jenga. We have to know this. If you really want to read the Medu Netcher like the Magi Archers be reading it, you can't not know this. Because we going to come across the text. Cats be wondering how I figure something out. Just because I read the parts of the book like this. It's not like nothing special. Sometimes it's my Negro intuition. But now look. The phenomenon occurs also with the D and the J. So what does this mean? That sometimes in a word that should start with a snake, you might see the D hand. Patah, you know this happened the other day. Remember we was looking up that jet word, and then I figured it out. I was like, it's not jet with the DJ. They just used that jet, but really it's just a plain D because of the instructions from Hoke right here. So you should also know if you get into some deep investigation one day and you're not finding the word in the dictionary with this Jenga, we might be able to find it in the dictionary with a standard D. Thus, in many Egyptian texts, T is used in place of the original TCH, and the D in place of the original Jenga. It says other times the reverse is encountered. You might see the Jenga for the original D. These cases are usually false archaications. Woo! That never been said on no Medu Netter show ever. So let's repeat it. False archaications. I love bringing out the knowledge, bro. What's a false archaicization? I love to hit them with that. Nah, bro, that's a false archaicization. What do you mean by that? When you think, all right, well, now I want to hear the word said. Z-A-T-I-O-N. Archaicization. No, I need to hear it said by the dictionary. Because when you're a rapper, you got to use your words right.
Archaize.
Archaization, see?
Archaize.
That's a false archaization. All right. Told you. Now that is a false archaization, though. Did it sound natural when it rolled off my tongue? Let me see. Now that might be a false archaization, bro. Yeah, it's starting to sound natural. All right, look. So if y'all don't understand what it is when. See, why is he calling it a false archaization? Because it seems as if they're using one. I understand, but first I want to go back to this definition, so we can all understand. To give an archaic appearance of a character. See, so it looked like it's fake archaic. It's not really an archaic writing. It's just it looked that way. Okay, cool. Let's continue. Most of the variant forms of the alphabetic signs have been given in Table 2. There are, however, a few of the later periods. So this is the ones that are most common to us. And a lot of not my archers, I ain't never talking about my archers, but a lot of people that I will read the glyphs with don't even know these. All right? So what do I mean? This is a M. 2. This is also a different later period form of an M. This, when you see this red crown, see now you can see, now y'all in the back of the book with us. When you see this damn red crown, don't always think the red crown. And if you never entertain it as a preposition in, I know you haven't got that far along in your studies. It's not a big deal. Plenty people know I haven't got so far along in my studies, right? People who was on the opposite side of my argument, who encouraged me to get more into grammar, thought that they was really saying something. They only revealed to me. See, the reason why I put people in the TLA, because you're not going to go in the TLA and debunk me. Because I'm standing on the TLA, right? Some people stood on the grammar to mount arguments about whether Kemet meant black or not. And now I go deeper into the grammar and can use it to show that they was just simply hiding behind the fact that they thought that I did not have the knowledge of that. But they can see that I didn't have that because of certain things like you might come to what I'm showing you now. If you never entertain this red crown as a preposition in any of our readings, I'm familiar that you have not encountered that. Nor if you don't entertain this eye drop for a T. We just have to know that. And it's not nothing. These are just little, things that come with looking at text. And so, again, I'll allow this book to be read by you, and I'm just going to point out the significant things I want to talk about. And we definitely need to talk about these two right here. Matter of fact, I'm going to go up one more. All three of these bullet points, all right? Look, please understand this. We say this over and over. And don't act like they don't say this right here in the damn book. For convenience, Egyptologists have adopted certain conventions in pronouncing Egyptian words. Now look, both the three and the other ones that we talked about when y'all thought I was fumbling and bumbling, but I was telling y'all, trust me, just take it as an A. Remember when we was up here? On these two, let me show you. And I said, just take these as an A. Trust me. I said, take it as an A. Now you're going to read the Egyptological conventions that allow us to pronounce words for scholastic purposes. Only. Let me break something down to you. If you get on your knees and say a prayer to my aunt, you might as well be praying to Jesus, because both of them wouldn't understand you. Do you got that clear? Now, you're going to say, oh, well, he's an omnipotent God, and he would know that they didn't have the J and they put the Y, and my aunt would have known that we using some symbol that they use for something else, and her name for an A. She would know that because she's the truth, righteous, justice, and reciprocity. No. If you make incantations improperly, you're not going to bring forth what you're trying to bring forth. It's like grabbing out the window screaming, John Aluluko, and my name is John. I'm not about to look to John Aluluko. I heard a little John in there, but they're not talking about me. It's the same thing. But anyway, I don't want to get off the subject. The point here is you cannot, if y'all think Medu Netcher is magic and y'all wanted to get to the bottom of it, let me help you out. You're going to have to go get into the African languages. You're never going to cast a spell with Egyptology speak. They took all the magic out of it. If it ever was magical, listen to this. I want to read it. I need to get back down to where I was. If it ever was magical, just listen to this. Maybe they did this to take the magic out. Y'all want to get on some conspiracy stuff? Maybe they said, let's take the vowels out and inject the E's so that they can't have their magic no more. It's quite plausible. Oh, now we on the direction of writing, but no, I wasn't finished with the last thing. That should be fun to discuss the direction of writing. But this is what I wanted us to get these bullet points. So they have adopted certain conventions in pronouncing Egyptian words, okay? Both the A, or the backwards 3, and this other one are pronounced as the vowel A. Do I need to make this bigger so that people can say, oh, I was tripping? Smash do be knowing. Let me see. Both this and this are pronounced as the vowel A. Now, what is he telling us? When we say ma'at, that is the scholastic pronunciation. It's not the I'm a spellcaster, chemitist pronunciation. And we would try to get with some of our brothers who go deeper into African languages to try to extract that truth, even like the sister was showing. Even though I didn't agree with her ultimate, what she surmised at the end, she still is trying to learn the proper method to bring out the real pronunciations. Since I'm about the meaning of these terms, and pronunciation is less relevant. That's when you want to speak it. But clearly this system of saying ma'at, taking those two A's, these are both in the name of ma'at, and putting the A, that was thought up by Egyptologists. Are we clear on that? Even when you type John Amongalongo, I seen my name at the beginning, but I didn't recognize that as being me. You feel me? So yeah. I just made up some dumb stuff. So now this I right here that we see in transliteration as an I, it is pronounced as the vowel I, or the Aleph with the glottal stop plus the I, or as a Y. But this is simply Egyptology speak. It's not how the ancient Africans pronounced it. We got right here, I read that. Now this is the ones I want us to see. W is sometimes pronounced as a W and sometimes as the vowel. Wait a minute. U. I almost forgot what that was. Let me open up J-Chefs for y'all to give a good demonstration here. You know, this is the most interactive show on the internet. So we're going to try to see if we can pull up a rendition of this. I'm going to type, so I'm going to make it so everyone can see here. And I'm going to pull up a simple mountain in ancient Egyptian. I'm going to type a capital D and a W. Right? Let me see. Capital D and a W, right? So this is a mountain. Now, I like teaching with this term because of two things we just learned. Remember the false archaicization, the false archaicization, which will let us know that sometimes we might see this with the DJ, sometimes we might see it with a D. Nevertheless, most of the times we pronounce Jew, because it's a Jenga and a W. All right? But think about this. From what he said, this is a Jenga, that snake that we seen, the cobra snake, and a W, a Uchi. It would say Jew, right? Now think about this. Oh, I want to go back to what I was showing at first. If they tell you here, the U is sometimes pronounced as a W and sometimes as a U, and then we take into consideration, I got to open up Canva, and we take into consideration what these scholars is talking about. Let me just get a quick presentation open. Right? You'll see this. This is what you're going to trip off. And you're going to have to trip off this. Now that mountain, if I snipped it, hold on. So now you're going to see how I put together a quick presentation. I'm just going to snip this mountain right for y'all. And I'm going to put this mountain inside the camera just so we can see it real quick. Screenshots. Come on, man. There we go. Hold on. I'm taking too long. You're supposed to be able to do this hella quick. So slap that right there. And then I just want us to deal with the do for a minute, right? I don't want to do it like that, though. Hold on. All right, so now we got the Mountain Dew. And that's the way you're going to remember it. Now, in ancient Egyptian, you transliterate this as like that, right? Now, this is what I want to trip off. Egyptology speak, and I want y'all to see how he's pointing out the D and the W. Now, if you learn Egyptology speak, how are you going to pronounce this word to me? You can't pronounce two consonants. Just like he told you, you're going to inject a E in the middle of the consonants in order to pronounce the word for scholastic purposes. Not to be acting like that's how it sounded. So you put a he here. Now this is a mountain. See? It's funny. But what's happening here is this D represents the DJ sound because it's a Jenga. And the D is silent like in most African languages if you come across that DJ consonant cluster. So you're really going to pronounce Jew even though you see do, and really what you see is this in transliteration. Now let me show you something. That's if you think that this consonant is a W, because it is consonants that need to be separated by vowels. You don't need to separate vowels by vowels. You see, vowels are the sounds that connect consonants, basically. And then you got other ones like the glottal stops. But that's what vowels do, connect consonants. So think about this. If this isn't a consonant, then you're going to have the same thing, what you're going to have. See the difference? You don't have to inject the E in here. And it's not Egyptology speak anymore. This would have still rendered what? Jew. You tripped off that? So we got to understand which terms might be. Now let's talk about Dahudi. And you want to notice how this DJU is in the front of the name Dahudi, even though it don't got nothing to do with him being part of the mountain or nothing. I just wanted y'all to see how that is working. In the name Jehudi, we go straight from a DJ to a U and not a W, right? Because they want to entertain Jehudi without putting the E in the middle because they don't call him Jehuti. So I'm talking about the differences between Egyptology speak, the way things might have possibly been really said, and then us understanding the two. But when you come across this symbol, you always can use my simple little way to remember it. And I just gave you the explanation for this. You can say Mountain Dew, even though it's Jew, because we just wrote about the archaisms, right? Let me see.
Archaeis.
The archaisms or whatever, meaning that eventually this D and this J will start being, the DJ and the D glyph will start being interchangeable. So this mountain is called Dew, Jew. To be accurate, it's called Jew, but you can remember it by Mountain Dew. So if you see this glyph, when we start reading the glyphs, you're going to remember that it's a mountain. And what do you pronounce? Jew. All right, but let's go back to here. And that was just an illustration of how their system ain't always the way we pronouncing it. Sometimes it really could have been the way it was said. But otherwise, we freely insert the vowel E. Hold on, I don't want to be going off the green screen camera. Otherwise, we freely insert the vowel E just so we can pronounce the sounds as syllables. This is purely arbitrary, and the resulting sounds bear no resemblance to the original spoken Egyptian. So we all been clear on that. Shout out to Inky for putting that in his book that you dropped a week ago. Yeah. So now y'all know, we know. So when I play my song, when I'm rapping in the Medu Netcher, I'm doing that because if we ain't figured out, and let me Austin propose this. If we ain't figured out what these consonants is, I'm not a linguist. I mean, what these vowels are in between the consonants, I'm not a linguist. I have no training in that. I'm going to wait till my brothers who have training in that figure that out, and then we can start talking about what these terms actually may be, right? But until then, let me propose this. The same phenomenon happened with the Hebrew language. That's why we got the two dialects. They got the Yiddish and they got the other one. Because when they was coming with it, first they had to come up with one when they didn't know the vowels. So they just made up one. But let me ask you, was it effective or ineffective? Did it work? Is it being spoken? So my new stance is, yes, that's Egyptology speak. But if someone is ever going to engage to try to make that language functional again, it's going to have multiple dialects. And the initial dialect is start off with ain't necessarily got to be the one that's going to wind up being the one everybody speak. You just got to get a footing in this shit. Excuse my language while I'm trying to talk about this stuff. Now, I also going to build on the direction of writing. We're going to take it all the way to lesson number 10. And if you read these lessons, you're going to get way more than what I'm giving you. But I'm putting it in the way that we like to learn and we like to dialogue to learn and chill. So the direction of writing, Egyptian was generally written from right to left. Middle Egyptian hieratic text writing is in columns reading from top to bottom and from right to left. Notice it never said from left to right. Did y'all trip off that? Hieroglyphs can be written from left to right to left, top to bottom. Hieratic is never left to right. If somebody start doing that, they just messed up. Whenever a hieratic text on the screen, you always start on the right. It says later hieratic was horizontalized and always written from right to left. Hieroglyphic inscriptions can be written in any of these ways and also from left to right. The direction of the signs is normally reversed in such cases. It says to determine which direction to read, we only need to read into or towards the faces of the birds, animals, and people, as we can see below. So I'm just going to skip. You can read the rest of that, and I can just build on it. So once we got ourselves familiarized with these symbols here, and anybody who messed with the archers, we could read all these sentences just off the backbone, not like it's a flex. Anybody in any academic course could read these too. This is not an ode to master teacherism. This is simply shit we could just learn if we got free time. And it'll help us because this is the first and the oldest African language that was written down. So you can't be really getting what they said from other people. You got to go see yourself. So now I'm not attempting to read this, but we'll do that later. What we want to pay attention is the numbering system here. And we kind of like don't want to ever mess this up. And I'm glad he did this in this way. Because just like alphabet, how we write a word, you notice the symbols of this first phrase here. This is His Majesty. This is greeting His Majesty. That's what that would say. Some would probably say protecting His Majesty, right? But I think it's greeting His Majesty. But the first, number one is the first sign right here. Not that one. The first sign right here. Obviously. Number two is the Uchit, which I can't hide. All right. Number three is a glyph for him, for majesty. Majesty is a thing, right? And so it belongs to someone. Who does it belong to? It is his. So what we're going to learn is this F is number 4 is a suffix pronoun onto this number 3. But I don't want to confuse us. We're talking about the order. Since this is kind of written out like an English word, certain amateur tattoo artists and people may think that it is okay to write out glyphs in a row like English words like that. That ain't how it necessarily works. You will find certain instances just like this beginning phrase written in order. But one thing you should notice is this. It's more about the profile of the glyph than it is about any of the other stuff. What do I mean by that? These are tall, narrow signs. See? That's a tall and narrow sign. And that's a tall and narrow sign. Now, there's no other way. Think about this. It's really hard to write tall, narrow signs in succession without simply lining them in an order like this. So you'll notice that these tall, narrow signs is supposed to indicate the whole width of the line of the page or whatever. But this is not a tall nor a narrow sign. And you will notice how they put it in the middle of the height of these other glyphs. You trip off that? It's not at the bottom. It's not at the top. It's kind of like in the middle. And then we got number 4, which is the suffix pronoun F for he or his. It is also, this is a low and narrow glyph. So if we write, let me just ask a simple ass question. If we're writing in columns horizontally, right, which one takes up the most space? A tall, narrow glyph or a low, narrow glyph? I mean, a low, wide. Obviously, number 4 takes up the most space, right? So what you'll see, like at the end of it, when you come to low, narrow glyphs, they get doubled and tripled. You can write them under each other because you got more space. If you look at number 7 and number 8, you ask, why is they like that? Because of the shape of the glyphs. You see what I mean? And so even number 9, if you put this in the top of the column, you got space for number 10 and 11 under it. And so why it didn't happen in 1 through 3? Because I just showed you. These are tall and narrow glyphs. Now let me show you something in JSesh. I'm not just making this up. If I open this up and go to hieroglyphs, and then I open this up and come to the bottom, what is it going to say? Hold on. It says low, that's what I should have said. It says tall and narrow signs and low and broad signs. Low and narrow signs. So this is me giving you a wink into something you'll learn later called graphic transposition, which is not no big complicated thing. Just 1 second, y'all. Called graphic transposition, which ain't no big complicated thing. It's just things are graphically transposed. So if I come down in the JSS and I go to low and broad signs, you can search the glyphs by all of the low and broad signs in case you don't know which one it is. So then a thing a tattoo artist would have to learn, besides what I just talked about and the direction the glyph should be facing. You see we're reading from left to right here because we're in the hieroglyphic script, which is appropriate for that, right? And why is this A, which is a tall and narrow sign, not up under this Sha, which is a low, narrow sign? Because of spacing. See, this is an artistic language as well, and they tripped off spacing and how things look a lot. So this A right here is holding its own position, number 6. But you see 7 and 8, 9, 10, and 12 and 13 on top of each other. So if what I said is true, I'm going to take this sentence off the screen, and you're going to see the same exact sentence inversed, and you should identify everything just the same. Meaning now we're starting over here. And if you look at it, you see everything in the same positions, with the same phenomenon of symbols being on top of each other when they are low and narrow symbols and not tall and wide. Now, this would change when you're not doing horizontally. When you're doing a column, long and narrow signs have a different attribute in a column than they do inside of in a column than they would in a row, I should say. So, excuse me. But yeah, you see the same sentence just flipped. And then we can see it right to left vertically, right? So let's talk about right to left vertically. And my wife just brought me some, man. Can't be eating on the camera, but shout out to the missus. All right, look. Now, this is a question. First of all, 1 and 2 are up here. I don't know what he's doing. I think he made some kind of error. Because, all right, I see why. He's right. He didn't make an error. This is the first word. So the word is like wajah or something. I thought it was nedge, but now let me show you in the dictionary. So I'm saying that word is wajah and it means to greet, right? Remember I said greeting the Pharaoh. Now this is something else you should learn here. When you look at this word, this chick is behind this symbol. But when I look at you're going to see the chick in front of the symbol. And if you know that that's everything we're talking about now, how things can be graphically transposed, but you don't change where you place the phonemes or the way they sound. I'm sorry, this is the ghetto channel. I gotta eat a little bit. You're gonna change. Now, when I pull this word up, the ooh chick might be in front. Trust me, it's still the same word. And when you understand graphic transposition, you'll understand this phenomenon. So let me see. Wait a minute. Did I do that quick? Dude. All right, I gotta press F. I'm gonna put W, D, capital D, A. Right? And if I'm wrong, I could be wrong because this is the thing. You're never gonna know every word, and knowing the words don't mean you can read it. You gotta read it to read it. So it ain't no way around it. Like even in English, there's a bunch of words you're not gonna know. So never concern yourself with like I try to know every word and I read dictionaries a lot just to learn more new words. But I don't want nobody to fool themselves like just because you study, you're going to know every word. But here comes the term. It's going to smack y'all in the head. Maybe I should type Greek or command. All right, now I'm about to get messy and sloppy because I'm going from the fries to the keyboard. I can't let that happen. That's like dirty. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. I'm going to have to take a break from eating. Keep teaching. So left hand fries, right hand keyboard for now. Now you telling me I'm wrong about this word? I ain't wrong. I'm waiting to it. There you go. Oh, it's about to pop up. I'm not wrong. It's a possibility, but it's very seldom. If y'all want to put the word up in the chat, put it. He said it also. Nah, it's like a command or something. There you go, right there. But I'm gonna show you a different version of it. That ain't it. It is it, but you wouldn't know that was it if you just now learning the glyphs. You got to see the exact symbols, right? All right, man. If I'm gonna take this long, then I must be wrong. I think I'm wrong. Told you I could be wrong. Let me write this word, bro. G-R-E. Okay. Let me close this down, man. Hold up. There it go. This is the word. No, this is Nedge degree. Okay, that's how I messed up. That's a Nedge. So the word, I am right. I'm still right. The word is to command. And I gotta go, hold up. I wanna go. Command. So watch this. If somebody gonna say that ain't command, then I just thought I knew a word I didn't know. But watch this. Why is the book so big? But that ain't even what we're doing right now, but I always get caught doing this. Wanting to prove that what we're reading is what we're reading. And I don't mind. There it go. Told y'all, man. The first thing I said is, when we find this word, the uchik is going to be in front of the symbol. Told you your boy don't be that messed up. Look, there go the uchik in front of the symbol, and it means a command. So when I first read this, I said His Majesty greeted, but it's really His Majesty commanded. Right? So that is the word. Now the uchik is still behind it, but that's a command. That's one word. Therefore, this is Majesty number 2. Glyph number 3. Now look at this. This is vertically, right? So since there's space, see how the tall, narrow signs perform differently in a vertical column? You could get 2 of them next to each other and on each little block of glyphs. That's one block. Next block, right? And you see how a long, narrow sign now takes up the whole width of the column? So this would start to form reasons why they would have to graphically transperse certain glyphs and put them in different places. I ain't about to eat no more, I'm telling y'all. I know somebody hella mad, but I'm starving though. So it's almost as simple as that, but hold on. That's right to left vertically. You literally going right to left vertically, right? You read the rightmost glyph first. But this is left to right vertically. you read the leftmost glyph first. Now, how do you know? Well, look at the way the animals and the birds and everything are facing in the text. Right? Now, let me tell you a secret. If you remember that most ancient Egyptian words are triconsonantal, and if you learn which symbols have three consonants, which would be a triliteral, some symbols have two consonants, a biliteral, some symbols have one consonant, a uniliteral. On line number 1, they could have just put this, if I'm not mistaken. Let me show you in the dictionary. And let me show you how this works. And you're going to say, damn. If you go back to the dictionary, you see the symbol in the middle? First of all, let's look at this one, to command. We're going to come over here and find the code for it. It's V24. Now we're going to open up JSesh and type into here. Well, we just go down to the V's and go to number 24. Wait a minute. Let me show you. It's coming up right now. V24. And when I click it, it's going to show you the phonetic value of that one symbol by itself. I thought it said V24. Did I not see it or did I pass it? We could have passed it. I mean, I could pull it up on the screen, but I want you to see its phonetic value. Oh, there it's coming. There it go. Now, do y'all see this? If I can make that bigger, I'm going to snip it. I'm just doing everything so you can see everything. Watch this. Well, the phonetic value is WD or W capital D. You already know why the two D's is interchangeable now. So if this one symbol has three consonants, it looked like two, but it's three. Well, DJ is a consonant combination. So it's still a biliteral, right? Meaning that this one symbol has two consonant sounds. And if you can see here, it is W and D or W and DJ. So that means now when I type it right here, I'm going to put a W and a capital D. It's going to pop right up, W capital D. See? So that even qualified that this is W with a D no matter where you see the chick at. The U chick could be behind it or in front of it. If you know that this symbol is WD, you always going to say Uja instead of the opposite. All right, so let's keep going. And he said, note that there are no word spaces, there's no punctuation. Therefore, one must rely upon the grammar to divide sentences, paragraphs, and chapters, and to use the semantic determinatives to aid greatly in word division. So how do you talking about parsing? Separating the words and knowing that which words is what. I just got hot real quick. Maybe she turned on the heater. I'll be trying not to turn on the heater. I put on a coat, a little small coat. Look, conventions of transliteration. You can read all of these. I'm not about to read all of these, but that's why I'm encouraging you to read the book. The lack of articles, you can read that. It ain't no definite articles, basically. So you don't have to say the, you can inject the. Or, the simple verbal sentence is a statement of fact. This is what I be trying to tell people. I didn't make that up. Look at this. So I want to read this. And this will become significant whenever you start reading primary text. The simple verbal sentence is a statement of fact. What does that mean? When the speaker wishes to state something, presenting it as a fact, whether true or not, means that he wants to present it as a fact. Whether the speaker held it to be true or not, the sentence particle you was employed as an indispensable element. Y'all heard that? It's indispensable. That means if you're trying to make a statement of fact, you always got to put the you. All right, so we start. Another way to know it is it'll help you parse Egyptian sentences because you is only found at the beginning of the sentences. If you find it in what seems like the middle of a sentence, you know you messed up. That's a new phrase starting, a new clause starting, a new statement of fact, which would be a new sentence. So it says right here, you was employed as an indispensable element. This particle always stands at the beginning of a sentence. And in the case of a verbal sentence, it is followed by the main verb of the sentence. Remember that. That means, now, if you understand that about the grammar, which some of y'all might understand right now because I just said it, well, let me illustrate how I be knowing we be slipping when we reading the glyphs. Because how you see a you, now y'all all who just learned it with me can feel this feeling. How you see a you right here, right? And then let me test this out on y'all. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to put one that'll be easy to mess up if you don't know the grammar. Right? And then I'm going to go. Oops. I'm going to go over R. Right? Now, this word is per, and it could mean a house if it was a noun. But as a verb, it would be peri. And it would mean to come forth, meaning the, and we'll talk about this, the noun has two consonants. It is a second, no, it's not even, it just has two consonants. The verb peri has three consonants, and it is a third week. Now, I teach like African American vernacular English, so trust me, when I say some shit and it sound like that, that's exactly what it means. The third one is weak. What do weak shit do? It fall off. All weak people, everything, they fall off. So remember that. If it's a third week, it might have fell off. So that means, what does that mean in the grammar? You only see per. But if you saying this as a verb, you say peri. Because the third consonant, even though it sounds like a Y or I, the third digit, I say, is weak. And so we don't see it. But how do you, we, and everybody who know the grammar know to not read this as a house right now? Because they just told us. It's coming after a you. Nouns don't particularly come after a you statement of fact. The verb of the sentence is always going to follow this you. So I could just open up a text and show you how knowing this is key. You don't have to know nothing else. Look, here go a text I got. Nah, this is some bullshit. It was some shit I need to research and bring to us. Because dude is talking about putting a Nubian on the fire and shit. And I'm like, what? I gotta read that as a burnt offering, right? So I'm gonna do the research on that before I start talking about it. But let's come into one of these texts, right? Now remember, I'm just showing you, damn, this shit ain't as hard as I thought. Don't look for nothing else but the you, right? Don't look, so you're gonna look for this reed leaf and a chick bird. And what you're going to be doing is identifying the starts of new sentences and the starts of new statements of fact. Watch this. They're going to have to use one eventually. When they so let me see if I can make this a little bigger. Eventually you'll be able to come right there, and I don't want to, dang man, this shit doing this shit all the time. You could just, that's not hard to read at all. Right? Well, let's see if we come to some U's. I ain't gonna even spoil it for you. See if one occurs in this text. Particular type of text. All right. You see it? There it happened. Right there. Now, I want y'all to know something. Everything above before that you, I want y'all to peek game on how we can read this a different way. But you're not reading it a different way. You're just dealing with somebody who's reading it, and I'm showing you some of the things that it took me hella long to learn. Now, everything before that you could test me on this. Look through every single glyph. Everything before the you is just standard. I don't want to say tutelary. It's not about his it is about his titles, but it's the standard epithets and the ranks of who they're about to talk to. Notice we ain't came to know you yet, right? Trip off this. You got the gold. He talking about the overseer of 2 houses. This is something about silver, and all this. They said 2 gold houses, yep. But I see something about silver here, and they don't say nothing about silver. But we'll talk about that later. Right? Yeah, it do say silver on the next line. Told you, boy. We do this. Now, look. Now, here goes the word Reggie was talking about what they say Christ, but I'm not going to start doing that. What we want to do is stay on track and notice that we haven't seen the U glyph. This is the U. Why? Because you got a Y and you have a W. And so in order to pronounce a Y and a W, you need to put an E in the middle. U. All right? And now if we come here and keep going, when do it first occur? They still just giving out the king tutelaries. You can read it. The high steward of the king mother, Amenhotep, the herald caress. Now here's the statement of fact. It starts right here with you. You see? So the sentence don't start with this man. That's a determinative from the last line. I'm teaching you this because you should know it, because we all know that you starts a new statement of fact. Now what follows the you? Come on, man. We just was reading this in the damn book. I'm going to come back. And I'm going to read this, and everybody going to remember what followed the you. Look. It says, the particle always stands at the beginning of a sentence, and in the case of a verbal sentence, right? In the case of a verbal sentence, let's remember that. It is followed by the main verb of the sentence. So now you know how to start doing this grammatically. What is the question that is asked with that information? I'm not smart. I'm just standard. Like, I got my brain functions, but I know that anybody who could come across this information, y'all gonna come to the same conclusions. Watch this. So for what it just said, if this was the you that let us know that this is starting off a new sentence, then we either got to entertain what we see next. Now you about to learn something straight, crazy strange. Damn, how did this work like this? Bruh, you gonna think I'm magic. Dude, let me show you something. Did y'all see how frivolously I just came to this text? Well, lo and behold, the exact statement, look, but I put you Purry. But that's because I was teaching you. When we came here, it says the king has ordered. Remember? Ain't no way I could have done this. Look, now what I'm trying to show you is the word that I looked up in the dictionary. Wajah, to order, to decree. We're dealing with another form of it now. And you probably wouldn't be able to identify that until you just do hella dictionary work. Look, it's right here. You see WD, right? So you know I'm not playing. WD. That's right here. And it's followed by the U. So now this is another statement of fact. This is the king ordering something. Because this is to give orders, right? This is, we'll talk about this in a minute. And I don't want you to get lost. Because I wasn't coming here to read. This is a preposition, but it's being used right now, not as the data, but it's being used to show that this command is a completed action that has already transpired. And this is the king, but it's not the king. It's the king's mother. Look, Mut Nisut. Right? All right. Yeah, and so the king mother has decreed, and it says the king mother's order. Now, what does she decree? Ardit, to give, to let, create, you, let you create, let you make for you. You about to make something for yourself, basically. Let you be made a cenotaph. I don't know what that is. Anyway, we was looking for the you, and it identified that new sentence was starting. Now look, peep game. Will a new sentence start without a you? One can. But you notice one has not happened yet. It ain't happened. These all got commas here. See? This capital the is starting the sentence. No capitals again. And they put in commas to let you know you're still in the same sentence. Now watch. Let's see if we find another you. Let's just see if it occurs that way. Because then this is all just one long statement. Now, there's another particle that might start off a new sentence, but nope, they didn't use it here. And so that was just one long statement of fact, and they keep on putting commas after it. Now, let's see. Now, this is not a U, but this is an M core, and we'll talk about that later, but that also starts off certain stuff in a different way. I don't want us to get lost, though. And I'm going on far about that you, but basically one thing, it will help you start identifying. In some text, it occurs so much that it's very helpful. Let me continue, shit. Read up on the conventions of transliteration, the lack of articles, all of this stuff. I like to do the fun stuff. So this box right here is hella useful for us. And I try to make people memorize these boxes. Like when we just, dude, how you gonna not have this memorized? This is the whole key. He kind of like gave a stupid game. Now, peep that the U is inside of this first box, or whatever you want to call it. It's 4 columns, whatever. The particle first, which is going to indicate it's starting a new sentence. This is in the standard verbal sentence. It's going to be followed by the verb or the verbal predicate, right? Which is to speak. The subject, you got the man, and the adverbal comment, in the house. So it's the man speaks in the house, right? But since their word order was different, it goes verb before the man. We say the man speaks, but they say speaks the man in the house. So that's not hard to trip off. The particle U signals the beginning of the signal of the main new clause, right? The verbal predicate relates the point of the speaker is making. The subject of the predicate is number 3, and number 4 is the additional information. Here, a prepositional phrase indication place where it will be learned later that the form of the verb that occurs in slot 2 is called the circumstantial form. All right? And we need to learn that later and not now. It is the circumstantial form. It says the circumstantial form of the verb functions as adverbs. See, I gotta scroll this back and forth because my mic is in the way, but I'll try to look to my other monitor. It says circumstantial form of the verb functions as adverbs, a large and extremely important grammatical category in Egyptian that will be treated more fully in a later point. It says the sentence structure is therefore very similar to that of non-verbal statement of fact. See, well, why do you keep saying a statement of fact? Because every sentence ain't a statement of fact. I say interrogative, but it's an interrogative sentence that interrogates. It questions, right? Is the imperative sentence that commands. So, for instance, when we was looking at the text, we just came across an imperative, and now you probably know why it don't got a U in front of it. Well, let's see if it does. What is an imperative? An imperative is a command, right? So then, when they said that one thing we was looking at, I think that was an imperative sentence. And it shouldn't have a... When it said the king's mother. All right, now look. So this is... No, I don't want to mess this up. This is a straight statement of fact. It is not imperative because it's not the king mother giving the command right now. See? But it's somebody speaking about her giving the command. So this is a statement of fact. The king's mother ordered that you be made a, what you call it. But if the king mother was ordering that in this sentence, this would be an imperative, and it would not start with a you. So therefore, this you lets us know not to consider this as anything else but what it is, a statement of fact. All right. So now, again, I'm just skipping through these lessons. I said I was going to go to lesson 10. Hell no. I'm still on lesson 1. So what about a non-verbal statement of fact with the adverbal comment? Well, the boxes will be the same. Nothing will be in slot 2. So that means this noun could run directly up against a you, right? So this is a fact that the man, so now this is why you can work as is sometimes. Because it says the man in the house. But if I said the man in the house to you, you would not be able to take that I was stating a fact to you. In order for you to perceive that I'm stating a fact, or at least it is intended to be perceived as a fact, I would have to say is. That's how our language works. Right? Because if you say he ain't, I'll say he is. But that was just a wild examination of it. Check this out. The man is in the house. So some people do translate this as is when it is mandatory to mandate that you could read the rest of the sentence as a statement of fact. But he just put the man in the house. If I said that to you, the man in the house, you would say, what about him? So that means that you did accept it as a fact that he was in the house. If I said the man in the house, you probably wouldn't say, no, he's not. Unless, of course, some condition mandated you said that. But anyway, excuse me, my non-clear nostrils be starting to kill me. You see? All right, I'm skipping. Now we at the first exercise just for the fun of it. He told y'all something simple, is what I said. Memorize the alphabet signs in table 2. If you started at the beginning of the show, you should have them memorized. I'm kidding. He also says, learn the following words, right? And practice writing them in both directions as a future vocabulary. Transliterate them. Look only at your transliterations and write the words in the hieroglyphs. That's hella easy. All right. Now, right here, he clearly tells us it's pronounced you right here. It is a particle used to begin a statement of fact. But what is this? I'm going to make these bigger for the fun of it. That's a preposition. It's a preposition made off of an adverb. I'm sorry. This is an adverb made off of I said it's a preposition. This is an adverb made off of a preposition. I said it was a preposition made off of an adverb. The root is just an M. But if you got IM, you got the adverb there, therein, therewith, therefrom, but not therefore. And we'll talk about all of these. This is Boo. Boo is a place. See, if you've been practicing, you know that's a B and that's a W. That's pen. It is a masculine singular demonstrative adjective. What does that mean? It means this. So if it's masculine, it's masculine. If it's singular, it's only one. If it's demonstrative, it means to demonstrate something. And if it's an adjective, obviously, it's describing something as well. A person, place, or a thing. So this, you're not going to say this running. You ain't going to say this verb. You're normally going to say this person, place, or thing. So this is a demonstrative for that. Pen. Peth is that. Per is the house. You see that. M is the preposition for in or inside. You could go through this whole list, and then you'll be ready for his first lesson or instruction. Since he used the dative preposition here, this is one of the first ones we need to learn. Because too many people know this in preposition and don't understand the dative. Now watch this. I'm going to put dative right here, right? And it's going to come from, it's going to tell us. Look.
Dative. Dative.
In Latin or Greek or German or other language denoting the case of the noun or pronoun or words in grammatical agreement with them, indicating, not grammatical agreement. Our dative don't need that. But what it does is indicate an indirect object or recipient. Well, what it indicates is a recipient. Right? So it comes from the Latin. Let's read this. When you see a dative in, somebody about to receive something. But it's not those hands. It can be anything in general. Right? So the dative comes from the Latin. What does the Latin mean? I want to see. It means for him or something like that. There it says, under the influence English, the preposition to give to, and directions of movement go to. The term dative has sometimes been used to describe the case that in other languages would be more appropriately called the lative. But the dative is to give to somebody. All right, now let's look at the Latin real quick. A case for giving. That's what it literally means. All right. So that if this is the dative in, it's not the preposition for, to, well, I'll take that back. It is to or for, but it's as in to give somebody something. That's why I say to someone, not to the store or to, no, that's not the right to. You're going to use this to. The R to is towards. To a place or a thing is R. To give me something is in. Y'all tripped off that? These are two different prepositions. So if you wanted to beat me up, which one you going to do? You might think it was in, but actually if you wanted to beat me up, you're going to use R. Because you're going to come towards me, and then you're going to commit an action after that. If you wanted to give me a gift, you do that. But hold on, let me scroll over. Because it says to do something, but normally the data ain't about an ass whooping. Like you might do something too, but the R would be more like towards a person, a place, or a thing aggress concerning regarding with relation to. But anyway, let's carry on. So y'all see these terms here: Ra, the solar god; Ren, for a name; Hina, which is a preposition that means with or together with; Ket, which is things; Ta, a man; Ki, another, right? Ket, another. That's feminine though. 10 is the feminine singular demonstrative this. It's just like pen. Pen is masculine. Now he gives you all of those, and then he gives you this word Jed, and then he asks you to have some fun with these lessons right here. So I'm gonna do it. But this is way, I feel like I'm reading my ABCs or something. Not like that, but I don't want nobody to be like. So let's just stop and applaud you guys. Let's applaud everyone who watched this video. I know a lot of the people who watch these videos already know. Just like I know a lot of this stuff. I'm just like, I love keeping stuff fresh in my mind, right? But right now, I know some people have learned at least why the things after number 1, before number 2 are written this way. Why it's written that way. Why some of the glyphs are stacked and some of them are not. Which direction you should start reading from. You should just know all of that after this 1 little hour video. Now, this is a preposition in. And he just did this to give you a prepositional phrase. But this is not a complete sentence. Now, this simply says for another man. It says in ki, excuse me. It says in ki sa. If I take you back up to the words, you can find each one of these words, and this is how you can begin to start learning by yourself. With these lessons like this. See the word key? It is the bowl, the K bowl with the 2 reed leaves, right? If you come over there, it says another. See the word above it? Sa? That's a man. We talked about the preposition in, and in which states it would be dative, right? And in which states it's just like, they're both 2 and 4, right? So if that was 2 and 4, you're going to say 2 or 4. You got to ask yourself, since this prepositional phrase has no context, in your homework, you would put both 2 and 4. I told fools I was going to start teaching Medu Netcher in December, but I didn't think I was going to do it like this for free on my platform. But I don't care, though. But, you know, I'm just keeping it a buck. I didn't think that through. Let me see. So, yeah, that is 4 or 2. It's not going to be 2 any man, because if you only got a prepositional phrase, you probably would say 4 any man before you say 2 any man. Another, not any. 2 another man. Now, this one should be good because we spent a long time talking about some of the elements that's in this sentence. And there's also a word from that first sentence in the second sentence. Now, just to make this even simpler, I'm going to parse this after I snip it. And we'll talk about the elements we should be familiar with. Did anybody who just this their first time tripping notice which element? Dang, what's up with my snipper? It's acting up on me. Let me see. I'm going to open it again. Did y'all notice which element was in the first sentence that was in the second one? Bow, boodoo, bip. Let's see it rip. Yep, that's a good reading, but that's not necessarily it. Because you said gives. You might want to erase that. But you don't want to erase it, ain't no big thing. But I'm going to ask you, why did you say give here? See? So let's break this down. Remember the word we was tripping off the whole time to let you know that it's a new sentence or a statement of fact? You. Did any of you identify that this was starting with a you? If you did, good job. You're starting to read the glyphs. Right? This ain't nothing but a statement of fact. Now look, if you come on my show and say that's a statement of fact, I'm not going to say, I taught you that. Of course not. I would never do that. Because it's just a fact that that's what it is. But if you came on my show and you was like, and you tried to do something else, and you was like, look, check this out with the African American vernacular, I'll be like, what? Now you trying to be me, bruh. But the knowledge ain't mine. I don't own it. I just learned it. So that's the statement of fact right there, right? Yeah, exactly. But I don't care because it's the truth. And I want to see people know it. But you ain't never heard me say to you, Patai, I taught you that. Like Eddie K or something, because Eddie K be fronting. But I ain't got nothing against that dude. I actually want him to learn this stuff. So this is Ra right here. And if y'all started reading, because you had the phonetic glyphs like he had, that's Ra. Now what do you see? You see what you should read, a R and an A, and then you see what? A determinative to let you determine the category of the word. So it is a fact or a statement of fact. You ain't gonna always say, it is a fact that, nah. You just gonna say, you can start right here, unless you need to say is. So Ra, and you is gonna say, you're gonna have to say is. Well, let me show you. Because this is Ra. This M is a preposition that means in. So let me show you how the U works as a is sometimes. Because it works. Now check this out. The first in the green is Ra. Y'all know that this is an M. When you think LMNOP. So when you see an M, think in, I-N. Because the M represents being in something, like in a location. Excuse me, I-N. I'm coming over I was a little cold for a minute. But I-N. So Ra-In. Now this word right here was on the last text. Remember, it was a man. It was for another man. Well, this is the same word, another. Key. Key is the word. So now we got Ra in another. What are you going to be in another? Well, I'm going to let y'all look this one up. Now look, I'm going to look it up and show you how to look it up. This is a B and a W. Y'all see this B is a foot and a chick bird. So when we come back to the dictionary, you're going to see where Ra is when we find a foot and a chick bird. Look closely. Watch this. When we go, look for the foot and the chick bird on the dictionary. Here it comes. What's the foot and the chick? I know y'all know. Some people know. There it go. The foot and the chick bird is boo. It is a place. All right. So we came back to the reading to see if that would make sense. Here it is here. The foot, that's the place. So now what looked like we couldn't read it when we first looked at it, looking fairly simple now. And you like, oh, if I finish down these lines, I could do this shit too. Hell yeah, you can. It's nothing but a button. Now watch this. So now I told you that this statement of fact can be used as it is sometimes. Now let me demonstrate it. Because if I change this back to yellow, because if we don't use this, it's just merely a statement of fact. But watch this. If you say Ra in another place, you're not stating that as a fact. That's still questionable. Somebody can say, huh? Ra in another place. No. In order to really state this as a fact, when you come back to English, you got to say, Ra is in another place. See? But I don't want you to get confused because this is not a tense word. It's used for the aspect of it being a fact. It's not used to say he's in that place at the moment we're speaking. It's not a tense word. It's like, yeah, the aspect. So Ra is a fact. Ra is. No, he ain't. Yes, he is. Like that. Ra is in another place. Now, I should have probably opened up the chat by now because I'm doing all these simple ones. And I feel hella guilty. I don't feel guilty, but like I know these already. And it's not like I'm figuring them out right now. Because I read this book like 100 times. All right. So let's have some more fun with number 3 now. Let's see if you identify anything. Dang, man, what's going on? Fix this. Supposed to be 100%. And then this supposed to be less. That was the problem. I had to, I was making it big with the wrong thing. So we come to number 3 here. And we snip that out. You'll notice that if you try to give it a minimal effort, and I know everybody's memory ain't as good as I think, but if you're giving it the minimum effort, and if we look, now I'm not going to use none of my knowledge to help on this one. I'm only going to use my knowledge to help us. Damn, what the fuck? Hold on. It just be disappearing sometimes when I do that. I never figured out why that happened. Like I'll try to make a photo bigger and it'll just shut down. Like, you ain't teaching that, boy. There you go. I'm trying to make it bigger. See, it just shut down. So we can do it right on the screen. You see this right here? Another U. Actually, you can see all of his, you might as well see it. All of his sentences starting with a U, right? They're all starting with a U. So these are all statements of fact. And you probably could use it as it is in the translation. The translation will let you know whether that's true or not. Now, hold up. I'm going to try to snip it one more time. And see what we got going on. See if I can make this bigger. All right. Is it hating? Yeah, it's hating. All right, I'm not going to make it bigger. I'm just going to snip it. All I know what to do, make it bigger right here, then snip it. All these technical difficulties, you got to pardon me. But for some reason, stuff be hating. So I'm about to snip this, right? So now somebody's sitting there like, so what does this do? So how can I pay my bills with this? You can't. Take your own ass to another show. Period. Fucking trying to figure out how to pay your bills with Medu Netcher. You the motherfucker. That ain't my fault. It ain't my fault. Did I do that? Nope. Now let's read this. You. Y'all know that this is a statement of fact, and it's also a new sentence. So this should be very easy. Now I said I'm not going to say none of the words in this one. So this is on you. I need you guys, somebody besides like you, Patak, because I know you're an expert or you doing good. I need somebody to parse the rest of this. By parse, I mean separate these words out. It's not hard. So what you're going to notice is each of these words are written into their own box. And normally the box is going to be close to the shape of another box. You'll get words with 4 or 5 consonants that make these boxes appear bigger, or determinatives will make you think that the words aren't written in these boxes. But if you peep gang, as I parse this out, you will notice that they are. Right? It's like little boxes with each got a word in it. And if you learn to look at glyphs like that, you're going to ask yourself, when you look at a primary stela, where are the boxes? And that'll help you start parsing stuff hella easier. Because you're like, okay, I know these words. It ain't just all running together as one. Look how long I'm coloring, dude. I'm tripping. I'm over here coloring like I'm in a coloring book. I need to just go like this real quick. I put a fatter stroke on it. Let me see. Ah, there you go. Yeah, I was over here coloring in the edges and shit. Now look, I just parsed it for you, right? So I just separated the words. But now I did that because you might not be to that level. Now you don't have to be doing nothing but watching the video. I'm about to supply everything to translate this. First, focus on the green. In the green, you see a bowl that represents. No, I forgot. I'm not telling you nothing. I'm going to show you how to do it this time. So if you didn't know what the bowl represented, you was coming back to this book, right? And you was going to come back up here. Let me show you. Look. To the first list where he showed us. So we seen a bowl and a half loaf of bread. So this is how you do it when you by yourself, obviously. Well, let's find the bowl. Do y'all see the bowl on this list yet? Or the half loaf of bread? Aha! There's the bowl. Look. K. It is a basket with a handle, and it represents a K. So y'all remember that that bowl is a K. Now here's the half loaf of bread is a T. So we already know cat. Don't nobody who read Medu Netcher can't discredit you. If you say cat right there, you right. Yep, cat. But what does cat mean? Now let's go back to the lesson. So you know you're looking for a K and a T looking like that to form a word. Well, I'm going to give you a hint. We've been dealing with a masculine form of that word in our last 2 translations. But now you're about to deal with a feminine form. All right, so here go the word list. So peruse your eyes upon the list and identify the glyphs you're looking for. I'm not telling nobody. Look. Is that? Nope, that ain't it. It's going to say cat next to it because you just went and figured that out. Right? Let's keep looking. That's say henna. Uh-oh. If you didn't know that this was the from your cat, you would have thought this was a hat. And wait. No, this is a different one. I apologize. This is a different cat. But I'll talk about that later. It just means the things. You wouldn't even have seen that one. You would have probably seen this one. Cat with the K and the T, right? So now you can come over here and see that it is just a noun and it's feminine. This is the noun masculine. Above it, that means thing, another. And this one means another. So key is the masculine way to say another, and cat is the feminine way to say another. So if we come back to our study, I think we identified the first word, right? We got a statement of fact, and in green, we got the word another. But we just, by accident, stumbled upon this word in the blue. If anybody memory is hitting, right when I was just looking, I said, oh, not this one, I apologize. And this is going to be another example of ancient Egyptian wordplay. This is another cat. See, this is cat, and this is cat. You tripped off that? Cat, cat. So if we come back to the book, we're looking for a circle with lines through it with a half loaf of bread, and we're going to find the meaning to that. And remember, I just said, y'all don't remember when I stumbled on it? Here it go right here. Circle with the lines, cat. See? What does this mean? Thing. Okay. So we come back here. If green was another and blue is thing, we have a statement of fact about another thing. So what do we have in the red? Or in the fuchsia or whatever, right? A reed leaf and an M. A reed leaf and an M is an adverb that I explained earlier in this video. I wonder, does anybody remember? It means there, therein, thereby, but not therefore. Right? And so if this says it's a statement of fact that another thing there, you're going to say another thing is there. Because we're only getting it, we're not getting tense out of our is. We're only getting the fact that it is a fact. I mean, if not, it would be is not. All right? So this is another thing is there. You ain't gonna say was there because you're not using this as a tense for tense. It's for statement of fact. So then we can continue. And y'all see how easier that start getting when you actually start. Like, hold on, man. You mean I could go read what the Pharaoh said and don't have to let nobody tell me all this fake stuff? Hell of the stuff. If anybody tried to make you think the ancient Egyptians was evil, you need to read this stuff for yourself. It'd be hard to find anything evil. Anything. Like, they just be people. So we just did number 1 and number 2. I might save some for y'all to do for yourself. This book is J.E. Hope because I want to get to some more complicated or some better ones that are further down the line. But I may try one more with some of them same words. Let's see. He got some good ones. So I'll do this one and let y'all do it. Only we're going to do a dictionary style. Meaning I'm not going to use any of what I know to translate it. So we take this one. Now, I'm sorry, but y'all should be able to start dealing with this. So first of all, let me ask you. Just from this lesson, it should be 4. Matter of fact, from this lesson that we're doing, you should know all 5 words here. Seriously. We only been building for 2 hours, And I will hold you to that standard. I'm not putting it on thick. I'm not saying you have to, but you'll be a high hurdle jumper if indeed you started recalling some of the stuff you're seeing. I'm about to help you. You know this word. Look, because it means another, the masculine form for another. And I know you're like, damn, I do remember that. See, it's key. Now, what other word I know for a fact you remember? If you was under the sound of my voice, you remember this in for 2 or 4. See? Now, what's the cold part about it is you not even tripping that you know this word too, because it's the man sa for man. All of this transpired in this exact same lesson we doing right now. This is the only word that you might not remember because it was early when we was reading in J.E. Hoke when we said this means to speak. It was in box number 2. It's Jed. But you know this. So I should have, oh damn, I shouldn't have told you that one. But you do, now trust me, I started from the rear of the text. The text, all of the animals are looking to the left. I was supposed to start from the left. But the first word I knew you knew was this one over here because we was just working on this word. So don't think the way that I just colored it in is the way you read it. You read into the animals, into the direction that they're facing. They're looking at the start of the sentence, basically. That's a new way to say it. They're all looking at the start of the sentence. So, yeah. So, you still means a statement of fact. Now watch, in each one of these instances, we probably can use you to say is to help. Not to say what tense aspect, but to say, not to say a tense, but to say that it's a fact. Now, this means to speak, right? But the infinitive form of this verb is speaks. The way that it just worked are to speak, right? Now, if this is a man, and we remember we got the statement of a fact, and then we got the verb, then we got a subject, and then we got an object or a adverbial comment, well, then let's see that qualifies. Even though we don't see the boxes, we notice the shit's still the same. So look, this is a statement of fact. Jed speaks sa, man. Now, let me ask you a question. If the N is dative, and it means you're giving somebody something, figure this out. This is kind of like a trick question. If the N is dative, and it means you're giving someone something, in the case of the dative N, right? Then you have to ask yourself, if this last word is another, and this N can be translated as 2 or 4, what does this say? Does this say, man speaks for another? No, it wouldn't. If this was dative, what is he doing speaking for someone? If it's dative, he's giving someone else something to receive. So that means the man speaks to another. And it's a fact. You can't use the is in this one. It's just a fact. You can't take this and say is here. You just leave the particle out and say man, the man speaking. No, the man speaks to another. And I put the in here because we talked about they don't use articles, definite articles. Man, so man speaks to another. Now, why am I jumping around like this? Because their word order is different than ours. So, in order to read this in English, you hop around the sentence because we start with the noun. So, I went to the noun first, man. Then I go to the verb, speaks. Then I go to the dative, to another. But they simply said, speaks man to another. So I know that wasn't complicated either. All of these ain't complicated. This is the first lesson in the book. Like if you let this intimidate you, you trip. All right, let's see what this do. Shout out to the 46 people watching. Normally when we do this, it don't be as many as y'all, and so I appreciate y'all. Now, people like, damn, I know this whole sentence too. Well, I'm not gonna hold people to that high of a standard. I expect anybody paying fairly small attention to this video to at least be able to identify two words. I should hold people to a higher standard, but some of the really good people going to be able to identify three words on the screen. Some of the people barely paying attention should be able to at least identify one word. If you can't identify one word, leave, please. Because I'm sitting here trying hella hard, and if you just like listening to comedy and they trying to soak nothing up, I'm not even tripping like that. I want you to try just a little. It's not like I'm forcing you, but this ain't like typical entertainment. I want you to get something out of this. So everybody watching this, even the person who only started today, should have recognized this right here. Right? That's hurdle number one. If that's all you recognize, you was barely paying attention, and you did recognize that, I'm hella happy, y'all. Don't even get it twisted. Like, I would be like, damn, I straight taught people in the world some shit. Now look at this one. If you kind of was paying attention, you might remember that this is the same word from the very last text that we just went over. It is the same word, jed, and it means to speak. Oh, you changed it, but I was going to read it. Jasmine took that off quick. It's all good. Yep, we got the statement of fact. There you go, Kay. See, that's a new face I never seen. Oh, you just made me feel hella good. It's like a dopamine hit. For real, like you just gave me a dopamine hit because you just made me feel good that I never see your name on this show too much. Shout out to you. And you actually showing, huh? Somebody said Smash Schultz just did a response to you. What is he talking about? Schultz just did a response to me. Why is somebody saying that? Why is somebody in the chat saying Schultz just did a response to me? I wasn't even, hold on. You tripping. I don't know why you said that. If you got that link, I'd love to see that, but you just joking. So we're going to keep on teaching. All right. What it be like? Oh, rap god. No. Don't even play. I dare you to talk about some shit with me. At 50, we could roll around. What you mean that's so... Wait a minute. Y'all got me confused in the middle of this lesson. So if something like that really happened, Whoever YOP is, let me know. What would he be doing? Man, y'all got me lost now. Man, you just messed me up. Sorry about that, y'all. I just got lost. Oh, yeah. And so then this is Ra in the yellow. Right? Oh, somebody just sent me a cash app. Thank you. Oh, that's the sister. I appreciate you. See, when you do teachings like this, them real OGs, they really, really be taking care of you. Because they know that, man, ain't nobody doing it like this and making it so simple like this. So let's keep going. Um, so this word was Ra, as in the sun god, not the sun, because we see a nature, a divinity. But yeah, I shouldn't say the sun god, but the sun divinity. Whatever, y'all. Just too semantic with it. Now, right here we have a preposition, which is a R, right? That preposition R also means to, but it could mean towards or something else. So what would y'all want me to say what this is? Or no, we're not gonna say what it is. That's the same word cat. No, if we looked up the word already, I'm just gonna remind you. Remember we looked this word up, cat, and it means things. You remember that? Now, this last word we also learned in the beginning of the lesson. It's 10. It's a demonstrative. It just means this in the masculine. Y'all doing good. Y'all really doing good in the chat. Both of those last two comments that say Ra speaks to this thing, and then Ben says Ra speaks to things. Y'all doing really good. I think I would have to go with I would have to go with Shazmu, but I need to explain something here. When you speak to something, you speaking you can speak to something. If I speak to my plants, then I use my voice to talk to my plants. But if I speak towards something, it just means that my words are in the direction of that idea. You see what I mean? Like if you're like, oh, he's speaking to gentrification. Oh, he's speaking to poverty. It means that my words are in the direction of that final thought. And so, in the sense of this, the ancient Egyptians also let us know the difference between those two. And they will give you an option to where if he's not speaking to his plants like this thing, like it's a plant, he's speaking concerning particular matters. You see what I mean? So yeah, Ra speaks to this thing would work, but if people didn't know what the thing was, they would not necessarily know that he's not talking to an inanimate object. He's not. In this idea, Ra is not talking to an inanimate object, even though it says this thing. Because if we understand the way that this R could work, and I'm going to show it here, even in his same dictionary, there's another definition for that R that we need to use in this instance. And you're gonna see it. I'm gonna look. So we gotta look at every definition. See? To ain't gonna work here. Ra speaks to these things. Why? Let me show you why. Because to, when it's an R, should be a place or a thing. So, okay, you can qualify that. Because it's a thing, so you will probably try to use this, but watch this. If the thing isn't a real physical thing, then you would disqualify this first one. And you go to the second one. See? Concerning or regarding or with relation to. Now that's way better. There you go, Shazmoo. You put it right in the chat. Concerning, regarding, or with relation to. So if we come back to this, Rod not speaking to a thing. He not saying something to an inanimate object, or to, he's speaking with respect to this thing. Feel me? He's speaking because Rod speaks concerning this thing. Rod spoke about that. Trust me. Rod spoke about this. Like if you want to put it in the African American vernacular English, the same idea that we try to convey when we would say, Rod spoke about that. Because the thing, when you say that, it also is not an inanimate object. It's not a demonstrative meaning. Rod spoke about that car. We saying concerning this issue. Anyway. Concerning this thing is what I would have put. So we got a statement of fact, and it's never going to be Ra is speaking. You're never going to do that. It'll be the way that this verb is conjugated, meaning the suffix is attached to the verb that'll let you know any aspect of what appears to be tense. This is just Ra speaking concerning these things. No, not speaking. Ra speaks concerning these things. Not even spoke. See, spoke is past tense, and speaking is continuous. Normally in English, you say, he's speaking now, because it's an ongoing action, speaking. So we don't want to relate none of those. You say, Ra speaks concerning this thing. I had the most fun doing this. Like, this could be my longest shows. Don't trip, because this is what I be doing all the time. Not I'll either go watch some MMA or maybe play college football. And my team got whooped by Alabama, so I'm studying the Medu Netcher. All right, let me see. How about this one? This is a super simple. Now that I know that the person K had identified the U, I pretty much know that all of y'all are identifying this as just being a statement of fact, and we know that this is not another type of a sentence. Now I'm pretty sure y'all can identify this character here because he was in our last two lessons. This is Ra, not the disk of the sun, but the actual Netcher, as we see a divinity sitting here. If they wrote a circle and put a dot in it, they'd be talking about the sun disk. Here they're talking about the essence of it. Ra. Now this word is one that you have not encountered yet. You have in the dictionary. It's simply like a preposition, right? Because it joins two nouns together. So it's henna. Yep, and then another word my partner remember was sa. This is a man. Look at Cass is reading glyphs right off YouTube. Now you can go to the museum and look for these glyphs on somebody's stela. Hold on. So this is the man, and this is just a demonstrative after him in the masculine right here. Pen. This man is the last two. So if you know that it's a statement of fact that Ra preposition this man. Haley did it right. Damn, we got some readers in the joint. Oh man, this show getting better. We're gonna have 100,000 archers one day. Haley, how you do that so right like that? Rod is with the man. That is so perfect. For real. Rod is with this man. Oh, you did that. Damn, that man, that's so hard. That was tight. That made me. That got another dopamine hit. Well, dopamine is natural in your body, and when you feel good, they say that's why some people actually do drugs, trying to reproduce the natural dopamine that comes through your body. Ooh, you did that really good. Make me feel like I should be doing some more complicated ones. All right, we're gonna do this last one, and then I think I might get close to shutting it down in a minute. But I don't want to encourage anyone to leave early. There might be a whole nother hour of doing this. Dang, that means we know this whole sentence too. Because every word was in our previous lessons. Yeah, y'all was getting me emotional. I got a little tingle, though. It was really like a dopamine hit. Y'all, I know the majority of y'all know that this sentence is a statement of fact. Now everybody watching this show probably remember this word jed, which means to speak. Now it ain't Ra speaking no more, it's Sa speaking. We remember what Sa speaking is. So now it's the man speaks, but they're going to throw us for a loop next. And this is part of the man determinative. The loop they're throwing us for is putting the preposition here. M. If you remember LMNOP, MN. M means in. I-N. So, who remembers this one? Boo. You don't remember Boo was a place? Boo is a place. And that's the same demonstrative at the end. Pen. He speaks. Yeah, you said he speaks to this place, then you fixed it. But you said he speaks in this place. I wouldn't say that. I would say a man speaks in this place. And you can't change it to a man is speaking just to try to force the use of this you, because that's not the real use of a you, to say is. It's only when it works you can use it that way. But it's just there to say a statement of fact. So it's a fact that, but you're not going to say it's a fact that. You're just going to say a man speaks in this place. Now that sounds weird, because you're going to say, well, how come it's not a man spoke? They would have put an in between this verb right here and this man. They would have put an in between it. It would have been called what we call Sejm NF form, and that would have indicated that this was a past and complete action. So you could say a man spoke. Oh, Brother Reggie? All right, come on, we about to deal with that right now. Shout out to Brother Reggie, but just to tell me, yo, I'm going to make you motherfuckers choose up in a minute. I'm not going to be stopping just because somebody else streaming. But shout out to that Pan-African James. We about to run over the, we trying to help y'all, everybody, if y'all don't know. We trying to let Reggie get his, help him get his viewership up at Africa Online. And I've been going for 2 hours and a half already. So I'm going to see y'all in the chat. I put up his page so everybody can know, Pan-African James. Yeah. I said yeah to your LOL, Shazmoo. I'm like, yeah. But yeah, we about to roll over there because I just need something to do and I can sit back with my wife while we do this. And it's my daughter Savannah's birthday. If y'all want to tell Savannah birthday, hit her with the Cash App and I'll give it to her. It says, when you have your 4 certification for teaching children hospital kids online and study classes for beginners, when you have time for your certificate for you teaching children's hospital kids online and study classes for beginners. Yo, if you know anything about that or something and getting it, I would love to get it. The only certificate I got was from Harvard for, no, I got 2 certificates. One was for Harvard for Egyptology, and another one is from Emory University. But they were just short summer certificates. I got accepted to Manchester, the University of Manchester, for a certificate, but it was going to take 3 years, and I didn't want to let myself down. So we about to go watch Brother Reggie on Africa Online TV. Peace, peace, peace. Thanks for tapping in. Thanks for contributing to the show. And if you want to see more lessons like this where we could get... Look, I'm trying to go through the channels because I don't got my... So normally I have my thing so I could do it like this. Wow, peace. Let's go watch Reggie. And I'm going to put stream ending soon so that won't be the final thing on the screen. All right?